The Nintendo Gamecube was, when I started collecting, my favorite console to collect for. And with that, I have a pretty decent sized collection, and let's go through it. Our first game alphabetically is Batman Rise of Sinzu. I have this because it was given to me as a gift, and it's a pretty decent title at the end of the day. Can't hate on a Batman game, because Batman is cool. And the Batman Arkham games are some of the best out of the Xbox 360 generation, of course. And I'm sure that Batman Rise of Sinzu doesn't hold up to that, but I'm sure it's a good time because Batman is cool. And now we have Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This is one of a couple games in my GameCube collection that is like pretty much brand new because the game store near me has this one guy who trades in his collections from time to time, and it's all in perfect condition, but that's besides the point. Billy Hatcher, very odd game. Very GameCube, PS2 era, and it's not really something you'll find nowadays. Next is Bloody Roar Primal Fury. This is another one that's from that same guy. Very good condition, and I believe this is a fighting game, and I've never played a Bloody Roar game. I'm not a big fighting game guy in general, but I mean, it's such good condition, I couldn't pass it up. Now we have Crazy Taxi. This was, of course, a Dreamcast game before the Dreamcast went bye-bye, and I've never played Crazy Taxi, and don't worry, I've played a lot of my GameCube games. We'll get to it eventually, but Crazy Taxi looks very cool, and I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. And now we have Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. This is one of a couple GameCube games that I have that was purchased at a thrift store, which was probably my best haul of 2022, I want to say. Basically, I went to a thrift store, and it just so happened that I got there right when a massive bin of GameCube games was being put down. So I got Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix along with a bunch of other games. And unfortunately, I don't have the dance pad, so I can't play it, but it does have probably the hardest Mario render of all time on the cover, so you gotta have it. Now we have Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. This game I have played, and it's actually pretty fun. The bongos, you wouldn't think it'd work for a 2D platformer, but it kind of does. They figured it out, and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat is a good time, although I never beat it because it wasn't good enough to warrant me playing through the whole thing, but I had a good time with it. Eternal Darkness is one of the most notorious GameCube exclusives that has not been brought to any other console, and that's largely because a lot of it relies on GameCube specific things. For example, one of the ways that this game will scare you is thinking that your memory card is broken, which just it's very cool. And a lot of the horror games from this generation are highly regarded, and this is one of them. I've not played it, but I want to, maybe for a video in October. And now we have F-Zero GX. This one is also in perfect condition. I'm not the biggest F-Zero fan. I'd just rather play Mario Kart, and the GameCube games are no different. I'd rather just play Double Dash, but it's still fun, and gotta have it for the collection. It's a Nintendo game. Now we have Killer 7. This is, for some reason, a game that I thought was a movie tie-in game for the longest time, until I realized that there is no movie called Killer 7, or any show, or anything like that, and this is its own standalone thing. And the game has earned a very, like, cult classic status among people nowadays. One way you could really see that is that I believe its Metacritic score is like in the 70s somewhere, but it's one of the highest rated GameCube PS2 games out of that generation, and like fan rating sites and stuff like that. And the game looks very cool, it's very unique, and I can't wait to play it. And next is Mario Kart Double Dash. When it comes to Mario Kart, for me, there's no real reason for me to play anything other than Wii. Although now Mario Kart World, I'm having a good time with it. Happy Switch 2, everyone. I was originally planning to put this video out last week, but the video got corrupted, so we're remaking it, and now the Switch 2 is released. So I've had a good time with Mario Kart World. Mario Kart Double Dash, it's good. I would just prefer to play Mario Kart Wii or DS, or now Mario Kart World. So I still respect Mario Kart Double Dash. It's probably my fourth favorite one. Now we have Mario Party 6. This is the only Mario Party game that I have right now. When I was a kid, I had Mario Party 4, and I unfortunately traded it into GameStop, which was a big L. one of the biggest L's that I've ever taken. But we'll get to a bigger L later on. But the point is, Mario Party 6, I haven't played it too much. I mean, there's so many Mario Party games that are so similar that, you know, every time I play Mario Party, I just kind of rotate through them all. Like I played Mario Party Superstars the last time, then before that we played 7, and then before that we played 8. And, you know, all of them have their own merits. They're all very fun. So, Mario Party 6, very good game. And now we have Mario Superstar Baseball. This is probably the only Mario sports game on the GameCube that could just be seen as one that was completely upgraded across the board for the Wii release. Mario Super Sluggers is probably my favorite Mario sports game, and by quite a decent margin as well. Not to say Mario Superstar Baseball is bad, but Mario Super Sluggers is right there, you know. Mega Man Anniversary Collection was a Christmas gift for me, and Mega Man just doesn't really work with a GameCube controller, as do most 2D games. They don't really work with a GameCube controller. I remember it being odd, like maybe the B button was jump and then A was to shoot, which just doesn't really work. So not the ideal way to play the Mega Man games, but it's got a bunch on there, and you know, there's so many Mega Man collections, like there's no real reason to use this one. Now we have Mega Man Network Transmission. I don't really know what this game is 100%. I believe that it is another Mega Man Battle Network game, which was of course a Game Boy Advance series of games, and this is just another entry in it, although it could definitely be like a compilation of them. But you know, I've not played it. I've not played any of these, but you know, pretty cool. And next is Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. This is another one from good old Duster, but this is a very interesting game because it's a remake of a game that at the time this came out was not very old at all, and this version of Metal Gear Solid has kind of been disregarded in re-releases. It still is the original, which is very interesting. I've heard it's like a more satirical take on Metal Gear Solid. I'm not really sure what the differences are, but this is a very cool release, and I'm glad to have it. Metroid Prime is one of those games where I've started it maybe 3 or 4 times, and I've never finished it, and that's because I usually get lost in this game's world at some point along my playthrough and then cut it there. But, you know, it's a very fun game when you are not lost, and I would recommend it. And of course, this is a staple for the GameCube, and somehow has a 97 on Metacritic. Next, we have Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I've never touched this one, mainly because this is a series where I would probably want to go in order, and I have yet to beat the first one, so Metroid Prime 2 someday. Now we have Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. This is one of my former favorite games of all time. Around COVID, I played Super Paper Mario for the first time. This was maybe April-ish, and I loved Super Paper Mario, and of course I wanted to go back and play the rest of the series. When I was a kid, I had played Thousand Year Door, but I was a kid and I didn't know what I was doing, so I got stuck on the pink dry bones in the first dungeon and traded the game into GameStop for $12. And so when I wanted to play it during COVID, I didn't have it, and I was very upset by that, and I eventually got it, and it became my favorite game of all time because it's very, very good. Now we have Pokemon Channel. This is like sort of a spiritual successor to Hey You Pikachu, from what I've heard, and I've also heard it's bad. This one also came from that thrift store haul. I got this for $10. And now we have Pokemon Coliseum. This is another one that I got from that thrift store haul, but I've actually found Pokemon Coliseum quite a few times. This is the 4th. I found 4 copies of Pokemon Coliseum, I believe. No, 3. This is the 3rd that I've found. I bought this game for the first time at a GameStop in 2021. They had it for $30. I got Pokemon Coliseum for $30 at a GameStop. And then a few months later, Pokemon stuff got really expensive, as it usually does, and I sold it to fund other games. And then later that year in November, I bought it again of 2021. And then in early 2022, I found it again at that thrift store. So, you know, from those 2 copies that I got at the end there, I took the manual and the case and, you know, we have a very good condition one now. And next is the grail of the GameCube, for me at least, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I got this also at the thrift store, and that is one of the most miraculous finds I've ever had. This is one that you don't see very much at all, let alone complete and in great condition with the poster. Like that was such a good find, and the cover is really cool, and it's a good game. And next is Resident Evil 0. I've not played this Resident Evil, but I have played the Resident Evil 1 remake. I bought this in 2021 probably, and I tried getting into it, and I just couldn't. Not to say it's bad, but it is a very like old-timey horror game. When it comes to the tank controls, which I never used at the time of playing it, so I was caught off guard by that. And also it's very weird with its resource management. Like, saving is an item and there's a limited amount of them, which I didn't like then and I still don't like now, but I'll probably play this again at some point. After I have really appreciated the Resident Evil 4 remake. That game is amazing. Speaking of Resident Evil 4, we have the Resident Evil 4 preview disc. I wonder how many other gamers have the Resident Evil 4 preview disc, but not Resident Evil 4 on their GameCube. But this is a really nice condition Resident Evil 4 preview disc, and when I saw this, I'd never seen it before, so I had to get it. Next is Skies of Arcadia Legends. This one I do have another interesting enough story for. The game store near me, I saw they posted this on their Instagram, and I wanted it, so I called in and I rushed over to pick it up before someone else got it, and it's in really, really good condition, and it's a cool game. Next is Sonic Heroes. This is the only Sonic game that I have right now. I used to have the adventure games, but both of them were missing manuals, so when I stopped keeping all my games that didn't have manuals, I sold them both, and they were also really expensive because of the Sonic movie. So I ended up making a good little score on those, but we still got Sonic Heroes, and it's in great condition. And now we have Sonic Riders. Sonic Riders is kind of overshadowed by the Kinect game, and not in a good way. It's like, it's odd, because when you think of Sonic Riders, you think of Sonic Free Riders on the Kinect and how horrible it is, and you don't think of this actual game. I have no idea how good this one is. And now we have Soul Calibur 2, which has made its way to Nintendo Switch Online in shocking fashion. It has Link in it, and this was one of the first GameCube games I ever got, so very cool one here. The original one that I bought from GameStop, and it didn't work. And then I returned it, of course, because it didn't work, and I didn't pick this game up for years and years. It took me like 5 years, 6 years to get another copy. We have Spyro A Hero's Tale. I've heard this game is terrible from pretty much everyone, so now we have Mario Strikers. This is allegedly the best Mario Strikers game, which, you know, it probably shouldn't be in 2025, but it is. And I might play this tonight with my friends. We'll have to see how the day goes. But I've never played Mario Strikers as of right now, but I do want to because it looks cool. And now we have Mario Sunshine. This is a classic right here. I would say underrated. It's definitely one of the weaker 3D Marios, but, you know, as they say, a bad 3D Mario is probably still an 8 out of 10 game, so fantastic game here. Now we have Smash Bros. Melee. This was my favorite Smash game as a kid, and for what it's worth, when I say as a kid, I was always like kind of a retro gamer. I bought my GameCube in 2013, so when I was a kid was probably like 2013 to 2016, and that's what I'm talking about for like the whole video. So Smash Bros. Melee, this is the main reason I bought a GameCube, because I heard that this was the best Smash, and I agreed with that until Ultimate became pretty much the best, undeniably. Now we have Super Monkey Ball. I've never played the first one, but the second one is very good, and we'll get to that right now. With Super Monkey Ball 2, this is a fantastic game, one of my favorites on the GameCube, especially when I was a kid. I loved this game, and the Switch remake is also a lot of fun. And now we have Ninja Turtles Battle Nexus 2. I don't really know why I have this one, but I do. And last but certainly not least, we have Zelda The Wind Waker. One of the best Zelda games ever made. I never played the GameCube version before, but the Wii U version was one of my favorites as a kid, and it, you know, great game. And of course, I have to talk about the complete in box GameCube right here that I got at the flea market for $80. It's still got the Mario Sunshine bundle sticker on it, which is very cool. And this is a very cool piece. I like how the shelf looks with it. I think it's very nice. And yeah, the GameCube was for years my favorite console to collect for because it's just so unique. There's so many GameCube games that have never been ported to any other consoles until now, of course, with the Switch Online expansion pass having GameCube. But you know, when I started collecting, I had a lot of the GameCube games when I was a kid. You can't really get them, or you couldn't have really got them anywhere else. And the games are all fantastic. Arguably the peaks of their series in some people's eyes, between Metroid and Paper Mario and F-Zero and Smash and the Mario sports games, plenty of people would argue that they all peaked on the GameCube, and that's why the games retained so much value for so many years. After that fabled thrift store haul, I pretty much had every GameCube game in the book, except now I don't because I've sold a bunch in an effort to improve the condition quality of my collection. But you know, I've had pretty much every major GameCube game at one point or another, but I love the GameCube. It's one of my favorite consoles of all time, and I'm glad to have been able to talk about it today. Thank you guys for watching. Next video is either going to be Switch 2 something or a Metacritic's Greatest Tragedy. We'll have to see which one I get around to. But thanks for watching.